Ayo, fellow Singaporeans, can you stop living like frog in a well? Some of your, not all, some of your really reflects very shallow thinking and not not able to see the world outside Singapore, especially your neighbor Johor Bahru, okay? So in today's video, I will address some of this concern, but more importantly, and probably most importantly, some of you ask, Mr. Lu, where's that rose suckling pig restaurant, right? I'm going to let you know today, okay? So let's watch on, shall we? Today's video is about encouraging everybody to have some sense of adventure and also to address some of the practical concerns about living and retiring in Johor Bahru. Some people ask me about the price of the house, rental of the house. Some people ask me about, administrative processes. Some people ask me about security again. And most importantly, where's the rose suckling pig? Let's go on, shall we? Let's address these concerns again, right? Now, I've shown you in my earlier video that it is very common to have guarded and gated community to have a very tight security. And in the Austin Heights, they have two-level security, gates within gates, and that's quite common. And by the way, I did not mention there are actually very regular patrols around the garden and community area. And this is common in Johor Bahru as well. So ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the comments I quickly run through. The tightness of the security is so overwhelming that it speaks for itself about the danger of this city. What if you're out of the secure compound, or what if there's conspiracy or bribe given to the guards to let people in? Security is number one concern. Consider a risk at your expense. Perhaps ask yourself if you're able to fend off intruders in your late age journey, right? 60, 80 years old. And this is what they say, right? Thailand is a country of thousands of smiles. India is the country of thousands of rapists. Malaysia is a country of thousands of thieves, right? Precisely the need the security is that's because outside the street is dangerous, right? In Singapore, I see 6 to 7-year-old girl walking, scooting around the streets, maybe in day or night. There, I'm not so sure, right? The level of security bears the confidence that JB ain't safe. Any Singapore registered car that leave the compound is a fair game for crooks. Just pray that you're not unlucky ones, right? So I would just want to address this concern again, right? I think that number one thing for those haters, okay, let's call it haters, or those concerned people of JB is to go to JB once to see for yourself. You all agree? We've got millions of Singaporeans travel regularly to Malaysia, millions, okay, regularly to Malaysia. And I think they can judge better than you guys what the situation is. I wouldn't be too concerned about this, but I'll just say this. It is true that once you're outside the community, I think there's increased elevated level of risk. But this is the same anywhere, including Singapore, right? I'm not saying that Singapore is risky, but you will do some common sense security. You don't leave your valuables on the table. You don't leave valuables in the car. And you don't leave your door wide open for people to come in, right? You don't go to dangerous places at night, and you don't even go to some dangerous places in the day. So these are things that you do not just in Malaysia, in US, in Europe, also in Singapore as well, right? So I wouldn't say that Malaysia is much more dangerous compared to the rest of the world. But yes, indeed, versus Singapore, and Singapore is a heaven. Singapore is a unique place that you don't see in the rest of the world. When I was in US studying, my car door was being broken down in California, which is one of the safest state in the world. In Europe, it's even worse. So I would just say that, please have some sense of discovery, right? Go to Malaysia once, JB once to see for yourself and stop being so skeptical, shall we? A bit swaku, Yeah. Actually, most Singaporeans are aware. Someone said this great video. Many Singaporeans are unaware that Singapore is an anomaly. The security situation in Malaysia and the rest of the world is the norm. Exactly what I said, right? Basically, anywhere travel is unsafe when compared to Singapore, okay? And that's, I think, the frank truth, right? Next one, people who comment that security tight means unsafe and is so naive and ignorant. The security is a feature that is given to give exclusivity and double level security is because each state within the whole estate is managed by my management, right? My relative house in Damansara is also like that, but more exclusive. Damansara is even tighter. That's in KL. Mr. Lu, you don't have to worry about being robbed in Hop Movement because the travel schedule is so erratic, right? I agree. Most importantly, your Malaysia home is considered humble lah when compared to your neighbors. Exactly. My house is humble and small compared to some of my humongous neighbors' house and things like that, right? So, and my car is really, really miserable compared to the Ferraris, Porsches, Mercedes, and BMWs that almost everybody use there. Someone commented this, and it's worth describing because this is a problem-solving thing that everybody should know. Mr. Lu, a day trip or a month versus uprooting yourself is very different thing. Wait till you have to consume public service like queuing hours at whatever government agency, and calling whatever security level from a day trip is different from a far-fetched. Okay, so I just want to say this, addressing the public service. It is true that the Malaysian public service is very inefficient. But fortunately, nowadays, they've gone online as well. You know, they copied from Singapore or maybe copy the rest of the world. They've gone online and their public service is increasingly better. But if you were to wait for stamps, chop permits and things like that, it can take forever. Fortunately, there are workarounds. In Malaysia, it's very common to have this group of people called runners, okay? Runners are people you engage to help you work around the system. You pay a bit more, and these people knows the people within the government agency and they can get things done and things like that, right? I use a lot of runners because I don't have time to go and queue up and all this. They queue up for me. Their face appear in the offices so often that everybody knows them. They know how to solve this problem, right? So runners are very common, and I think it's a very powerful workaround. Singapore don't have runners, unfortunately. Well, some people say this, and I think it's a very important point to address. The Malaysian government can flip-flop, okay? Someone said this, don't be too confident retiring in JB. After all, it's not a country and the government can start new restriction curb anytime. The biggest risk in Johor is not the security, it's the Malaysian government, okay? And what if MM2H, the visa get killed by government, not the criminals? So what they are saying is that Malaysia government policies, they are pro foreigners right now can flip-flop, right? Well, that's true. I just want to say this, okay? Which government won't? You take a look at the Singapore government. Singapore used to be very friendly towards foreigners, right? Now the bar for coming into Singapore has gone up phenomenally, right? You need to bring in so much money to set up family offices. You need to be satisfy a lot higher criteria to become permanent residents and having work permits and employment permits. It's the same globally, right? And which country's government won't flip-flop? Didn't we experience something recently with a special account in Singapore? So before we point the finger at other people's government, no, let's take a look at the rest of the world, right? Even ourselves, right? It's common, right? And I think we just got to adapt. The good thing about in JB that I'm picking for myself is that JB has an option of me going back to Singapore easily, right? Something should happen, I just just as if I'm traveling from Pasir Ris to Jurong, right? That's as simple as that, right? So from JB to Jurong is probably the same distance as Pasir Ris to Jurong, not much difference. A lot of people say that Singapore is still better, right? What are the odds as Mr. Lu comes back for his medical needs, right? I also want to say this. I guess you just need to convince yourself on the location you want to retire, not your job to convince others, right? I guess no one can deny JB is cheaper retire, maybe 3 months here, 3 months there, but Singapore is still a place to rest in peace, in my opinion. Not to forget the 1998 riot in Indonesia, never safe in a country that's not yours. I agree that Singapore is tremendously better, not a bit better, tremendously better. I would even go as far and say that if you want security, if you want basic, nice living, Singapore is fabulous, right? The government take care of you, especially when you reach certain age, the Merdeka generation, the pioneer generation, you get super well taken care of. Public transport is very highly subsidized. Medical care is extremely good. They take care of you with a lot of allowance and funding. I don't know what else they give you. So really, Singapore government taking care of old folks is tremendous, right? But sorry, I'm a little bit more greedy. I don't want basic living. I don't want subsistence living. I don't want nice living. I want luxury living. I want fantastic retirement. So I'm a little bit more greedy. Maybe you will decide for yourself which one you want. There are a lot of people ask me, which I actually said it before, but that was quite some time ago. how much actually, Mr. Lu, is your house, and what do we need to do to buy a house like yours and things like that. So today I'll give you the highlights of it, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, from Property Guru Malaysia, this is what you can pull out. A cluster house, about 1.6 million ringgit for 3,000 square feet landed property. Not bad. This is about 2,000 square feet property. You can get about 1 million ringgit. And this is about a 3,000 square feet house. You can get 1.65 million ringgit. So it's roughly around there. Okay. Well, these are some of the landed properties that you can find for rental in Austin Heights. Let's take a look at them, shall we? This is about 3,009 per month for a 3,000 square feet place, 3,008 ringgit. 6,005, I think is too high. Okay, this is about 2008, 2008, 3008. So about 3,000-ish ringgit, you can get a landed property for you to stay. And I think you can experience a landed property life, and it's pretty affordable by Singapore standard. And I think there are other landed properties as secure, if not maybe even better in terms of location. Everything is up to you. And I would say that, these are options that are available. Purchase or rent, the rates I think are quite affordable. I will just say this to conclude the streams of comments that are written by what I call haters of this concept. To the haters, some of them actually said this is not my comment, This one guy called Steven said, don't tell the Sinkies too much, keep to yourself, let them live like frog in a well. Seems like quite a few small-minded haters here. Everybody can make their own risk-reward assessment. Don't get sour. If you're happy staying in Singapore, good for you. Don't be like a wet blanket. As a Singapore, seeing the comments describing JB like some backwater failed state is quite embarrassing. Exactly, right? Don't know these people actually step out of the country before. Okay, yes, Mr. Lu, I agree with these comments. Stop sharing this kind of news. Quietly enjoy your life ahead. You share out loud. People talk rubbish and haters have a few days. Some things too good not to be shared. I will just say this, that to these people who make all these hate comments, stop living like a frog in a well. Very embarrassing to Singaporeans. It's really a reflection of how shallow your thinking is. But however, I would just encourage this, take a day trip down to Johor Bahru, to nice places, enjoy the food, enjoy the shopping. You don't need to stay there. You don't have to retire there, and expose yourself to the surrounding, right? The chances are, you're going to have a change of mind, right? Change of mind of our neighbors. So one person said this, I think was very important, is that Mr. Lu is sharing his own experience, which is nice, and it takes effort and time to do so. Nothing he shared is exaggerated. I used to stay in Tebrau area, which is not far away from my house, in Malaysia for 5 years as a Singaporean, so I can attest to that. If you like what he did, you may follow. If it's not, it's fine. We are own men. Nothing is certain in our lives except tax and death. Go make your own adventure. Nothing is right or wrong. Kai Xing Jiu Hao. So I want to conclude this part of the video and just say that I'm just merely showing you options. Retiring overseas away from Singapore is not for everybody. Retire overseas away from your family is not for everybody. Retire overseas away from the area of your comfort zone is not for everybody. But if you have a sense of adventure, a sense of discovery, and want to explore a place where it's a lot more affordable, give you a higher quality of retirement, this is one place. So decide for yourself, right? Decide for yourself. It's just like CPF 1M65 strategy, stock market, okay, property, S&P 500, NASDAQ. All these are options. They are not exclusively the best option. These are options that are suitable for different people. Go and decide for yourself what you want. The most important part of the video is this. Mr. Lu can share the address of Suckling Pig restaurant not, okay? Mr. Lu can share the Suckling Pig restaurant location. Mr. Lu address, I couldn't stop giggling at the size of your eyes when you see the roast pig, okay? And what's the address, address. I asked you all to pay more attention to the video of the location and educational stuff. You're going to look at roast pig more, right? So many questions. So anyway, the roast pig is really very nice. Excuse me to our Muslim viewers, and this is not a part for you. I should be more sensitive. I apologize. But for those people who love it, the roast pig is really very nice. It's very, very crispy on the skin, and as a very thin layer of meat that's very juicy. Okay, you see how they managed to flatten the roast piglet until it's very, very thin now. I think it's out of the world, right? So today I will give you the address, okay? So the location is actually very far away from my house. I went a bit further. Uh, I went to Kota Tinggi, okay? Kota Tinggi, there's a waterfall there, beautiful place. And there is a famous Chinese restaurant called Restaurant Public. It's called Da Zhong, okay? Da Zhong. So that restaurant there has a few dishes that are very, very nice, okay? Very nice. That roast pig, I think you need to call and book in advance. The freshwater steamed prawn is out of the world. Freshwater steamed prawn, okay, this a different taste compared to the saltwater one that we are more used to, okay, and their steamed fish are very nice. Fried bitter vegetable, this I don't know what they call that bitter vegetable in Hokkien. You get call cai, yeah. They fry it with ikan bilis, and the taste is fantastic. You know, the location, I've actually give you the address and the telephone number, and also the opening hours. I think open every day from 10 to 10 to 10. Okay. So go there, enjoy yourself. Okay, bit of traveling distance. Go there also to take a look at the waterfall. This is also what I mean by in Malaysia, there's lots of place for you to have adventure in, right? Okay, let's end this video, shall we? So enjoy the adventure. Do not take my suggestion as gospel truth and just, you know, and say that this is the life that it should be, right? You decide for yourself. But I give you, you know, options for this sense of fun adventure and also a comfortable retirement, and you decide for yourself what you want. For those people who love my videos, remember, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.